It is risk off. The markets have been scared. We saw green day yesterday for Bitcoin, but now that candle has become red, mainly because now it is risk off. And we have been for more than a month now below the 20 in the fear and greed index. So there's a lot of fear, but usually sustained extreme fear, it usually marks accumulation zones. But we're also waiting on that macro catalyst to resolve and move the markets towards upside or the downside. But the downside is getting less and less probable, or at least that number is not as bad as we expected. So let's take a look at the charts today, take a look at Bitopex. So let's do that right after the intro. So let's start by looking at CoinMarketCap. If we start by looking at the prices, let's look, for example, at Bitcoin. Bitcoin currently at 67,176. Then we have Ethereum right below the $2,000 at 1956. We have BNB at 626. BNB has been a rock, one of my best performing assets across all of this, shit show. XRP at 135, one of the lowest performing assets in my portfolio. Then we have Solana at $84.15. If we scroll down, Hyperliquid is above the $30 again at $31.70. On the past 7 days, it has gone up by 20%, which is fantastic. When it was up in the 7 days at 337, and then if we scroll down, we have Zcash that has not been good to me. I bought it before the hype, but I did not take profits. When my mind was saying this is too good and I was sharing screenshots, my mind would have said if it was good enough for the screenshots, it was good enough for you to sell. So I missed on that one, but these are the prices. So now if we go to the fear and greed index, it's just like we mentioned. The fear and greed now is at 14, which is still extreme fear. But if we look right here on the 1 month, we have been the whole month of February, you can see from February 2nd below the 20. And if we switch to the 3 months, we can see that after January 31st, every day after we were below the 20. And that if we look at the Bitcoin chart, you can see on the Bitcoin chart that February 1st was right here. So since February 1st, fear and greed has been somewhat stable, but still Bitcoin has gone down by 20%. So February alone we're down 20%. And that proves that just the fear and greed index, has been sideways, but the market still has been going down, because it means that retailers are scared, because the fear and greed index, it is not a very useful signal when it comes to trading. It is a very good signal when it comes to seeing how retailers, because institutions, they're buying, but retailers, they are selling in huge amounts. So for you, if you want to know what retailers are thinking, you can look at crypto Twitter, and then you can look at fear and greed index. Because if you look at crypto Twitter, no one is talking about crypto as much as they were. CT accounts are switching, even myself, for example, to AI, to vibe coding, all these sorts of more of better topics, because no one is going to talk about how their bags are losing a lot of money. They're deep in the red, 30, maybe 40, maybe even 50%. So you can see that hype around crypto has died, and this is a clear bear market. So I prepared some slides right here, and we are indeed in the past 7 days of extreme fear. As I said in the beginning, sustained extreme fear marks accumulation zones. But as I said, the accumulation zone without a catalyst doesn't mean anything. We most likely could be staying like this for 6 months or even more. If you remember 2022, it was a sea of solitude. No one was there. The markets were, flatlined sideways. So this is what could be happening to us right here in case the market doesn't find any catalyst. We have wars that do indeed create that volatility, which is good for us traders, but overall we are stuck in a range. And here I got some data from the long to short ratio. And right now we have 62% are longs on Bitcoin and 69% are longs here on Ethereum. And here we have high chances of liquidation, mainly because, again, if we look right here, people were going long because of yesterday's green candle, but now we are falling back. And if you remember what I said, this range right here, when Bollinger is very tight, it usually means an explosion towards one side. Right here, for example, whenever we started touching the Bollinger Band, we went up 8.5%. We then continued moving by another 37%. So you can see whenever we see funnel in the Bollinger Band, we should expect movements, but it's not one direction movement. It is an explosion that can go upside and then downside. It doesn't have a clear pattern, but Bollinger Bands, they allow you to be prepared for this, volatility explosion. If we look at funding rates for the past cycles, we can see that Bitcoin is slightly negative, but Ethereum is notably negative, meaning that bears are more in control than the bulls. Ethereum is leading in IV right now between Bitcoin and Ethereum. Of course, Solana should have higher IV, but right now Ethereum is climbing up a little bit. Of course, also Bitcoin was around 50, but now it is increasingly every day, increasingly getting higher IV. And for me, if you know my strategy, I like to short IV. I like to short volatility. I like to sell options when the volatility is very, very high because they play the IV crush game. So the market is expecting a huge explosion. So they're pricing in a price movement, a very large price movement. And because of that, premiums, they become more expensive. What I do, I sell these premiums at the top or very close to the top of the volatility. So that is my play. But of course, everyone has some plays. Speculators, they like to buy calls or buy puts before IV climbs because they can then surf the opposite of the IV crush, but the IV increase. So if they buy with low IV, what they pay for an option is very, very little, but then they can sell the options because they are more inflated in price because of IV. I prepared right here some TA. Of course, TA, as always, someone is going to be saying the opposite of what you believe, but I usually do RSI, Bollinger Bands, support and resistances, and moving averages. So this is what I put right here, but you are able to see that I marked for the 1 hour, for the 4 hours, and for the daily. And you can see on the 1 hour, we're getting closer to the oversold territory. Of course, in the 1 hour, I would like to see something to be oversold below the 20. So even though we are going down in the 1 hour frame, or actually in all frames, still there's room for it to go down more if you want to, speculate, trade, and maybe open a long position or maybe open a short position. So now I have an agent that runs these data for me. Before I was screenshotting and sending CoinGlass or TradingView data to it, ready to feed on, but now it does everything for me. So it just opens my charts, takes the screenshots, analyze it, and just gives me a detailed TA that I can then use for, create content, or just if I see any signal, I can just go open Bitopex and start trading right here. But for Ethereum, we see that the 1 hour, we are extremely oversold. I still think we can go down more. As I said, for the 1 hour, it can go down even more, but it did actually reclaim. When in the morning my AI took this, it said extremely oversold, bounce likely, and the bounce actually happened in the 1 hour chart. If we look, the bounce actually happened, but we lost momentum. We went all the way to the 1975, but now it seems that we're losing momentum and we should go down a little bit more. And the scorecard that it gives me, it says that we could have a short-term bounce, and this is the 1 hour or less time frame, and I think it actually did on all of these. Look, you can clearly see right here that we did have the bounce, but it was too short. So we went up around 1%, but we lost that momentum, and right now we're going to continue the downtrend. Same thing on Solana. We did have that little bounce in the maybe 15 and 30-minute charts. You could see that better, but we did have that bounce, but now we're losing that momentum. And same thing right here. Same thing as Ethereum. We went up as we were talking, as we were discussing here for the video, but then we already closed down. But because I don't speculate trades, I don't usually use these 1 hour, 15 minutes, 30 minutes charts. Those are for people who want to day trade. They can day trade options, perpetuals, whatever, futures. But because I do 0DTs, usually 0DTs, I do them in the afternoon for it to be closer to expiration. It lowers my ROI, but it has higher win rate. Or I do weeklies. So for the weeklies, I use 4 hour, 1 day, and sometimes even a week time frame. So that being said, by looking at my options, I don't know if I showed you this, but we did close in the profit. You see right here, we closed the 0DT that we opened plus $33 in our pockets, which is around 0.32 per day, which 0.32 per day is actually super decent. So that is something worth considering. But right now, because you can see, look, this is the 1 hour. We are inside this range. And again, because the market is pricing in a huge movement, I don't want to be the guy, unlucky guy who sells maybe a call or who sells maybe a puts, and it actually goes towards me and it gets me in a lot of trouble. So I don't think I'm going to be trading today. And that applies to also the copy trading. I see some people in the TG group asking why there are very few trades, if that means that the copy trading vaults are closed or not, but we are still going. The thing is, because of the tensions, the war tensions, the tariffs, everything that is going on, it is better for you to not lose money and do less trades than for you to lose money trying to make a lot of trades. So it is not smart, but the 0DT closed the month with 1.4% here, which uses Bitcoin option strategies, and the altcoin, which uses Ethereum, Solana, XRP, that one closed at 0.3%. Unfortunate for us, but Sven, the CEO, has been tweaking, has been backtesting a lot of other strategies to make sure that we can find a way to get better yields here for both strategies in these market conditions. So hopefully he's able to get a lot of very good data and start applying it to both of these strategies, both of these vaults. But nonetheless, it is better for me. If you're trading like me, it's better for you to also do less trades, but with higher win rates and with higher probabilities of success, than for you to keep trading, trying to get 3, 4, 5% out of these trades, and for you to end up the month in the negative. Because if I wanted to stay in the negative, I just look at my spot positions. So I don't want to do that. I don't want to keep looking at my spot positions. So I just trade very, very passively, very, very carefully with the options that I have here with Bitopex. So hopefully we're going to have a green week, and I'll see you guys on Friday for another video. In the meantime, stay safe, happy trading, take care.